Yo, what's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well. So if you are new to this channel, you may not know the difference, but those of you who have been here a while will notice something a little different. First of all, with the setup that I've got behind me, I've moved my setup around a little bit, and also a difference with the mic. And if you're wondering why it's set up like this, why I've got an extra guard in front of the mic, that is because I have been recording audio for my big massive video that I have been working on for weeks and weeks, and I'm hoping to have out within a couple of weeks. And I'm making this just little segment before the reaction that you are about to see because I have a trailer for you guys for the video. I'm super excited for this video, so please please do not skip past this part. Please check out the trailer. It would mean a lot to me, and without further ado, here we go. The trailer for my massive video that I will hopefully have out by the end of September. The Last of Us Part 2 is a game that I don't think I will ever play again. Well, let me explain why. So I hope you enjoyed that trailer, guys, and I hope you are all doing well. We are finally back to listen to some more Greta Van Fleet. Now, before we get into the reaction, I wanted to discuss a little bit how the reactions have been to the reactions that I actually had up on my channel of the Greta Van Fleet stuff a number of weeks ago. I recorded that stuff, like I really wanted to listen to the full album at once, but I found myself just really struggling to sit and listen to the album like all through. Like I apologize, like I am just one of those people from that generation who really struggles to sit and listen to a full album unless it's under a really specific set of circumstances. But actually looking back on the album overall, there's a couple of songs I haven't listened to since, and there's a couple that I have. And there's also been a couple of comments that I have read, and there has been a couple of ones that were a little bit snidey, but nothing really too bad. I mean, given what I said for some of the songs, it's completely understandable why it would, like, the comments wouldn't be perfect. But kind of looking back on the album overall, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I understand the place that it has within its genre, if that makes sense. Like, first off, and I've said this through a lot of the videos, and I think sometimes for certain people it doesn't necessarily resonate as much as I would like it to, but a lot of the time when I say whether I like something or not, there's a lot of personal opinion in there, and there is some objective stuff, and sometimes maybe I don't make it clear the difference between the two, because you know, it's weird. Sometimes something can even be like objectively not great, but you can still like it subjectively. So then when you say it's objectively not great, people will go, well, I liked it, so how could it objectively not be great? And you know, again, it's all just a mix between personal opinion and maybe the comparison of the artist to other musicians. And looking back in the album before we get into some of the songs from the Candlelight sessions, which a lot of you have requested, and thank you so much. Like, this is the Candlelight sessions Broken Bells. I just wanted to say or talk about a couple of things that were left in the comments. I mean, first of all, I think my opinion of the album has gotten better over time. I still don't think it's a masterpiece from them. I still think there is a level for them to go to, but they are well on their way. It is way better than the first album. Way better. There are some songs in the first album that are just straight up, like, bad. And the thing is, when I criticize this type of music, and bearing in mind this is the type of music that I like, this is my genre in terms of what I would love to be listening to a lot, is that when I say a song is from them maybe is boring or it's generic, like I think there was one or two in there that I was quite harsh on, the reason why it so easily comes across as boring and generic is that this type of music was popularized 40 years ago. It's the same reason why if you don't like pop music, why you won't like pop music is because a lot of it ends up sounding the same. There's a certain formula that is just watered down over and over and over again. And I'm not saying that maybe the not as good songs from Greta Van Fleet are watered down necessarily, not by any means, but it's a genre that, had its time, if that makes sense. And I talk to people who think that that music shouldn't even be done. Like, that music should be kind of preserved as it is because there's nothing more really to add to that music. And I don't agree with that statement at all. I think there's always a place for every genre of music to be explored and tried and even copied to a certain extent as a homage and adding your own unique things to it. And I think Greta Van Fleet more and more throughout the course of their music career have been adding more and more of their unique elements to an already done sound. And it's an already done sound. Like, that has to be known. There I don't think there's any arguing that it is a sound of a gone time, so to speak, And because of that, it's very easy for the songs to tread into I've heard it before. And that would be like the biggest criticism that I'd have had of their bad songs, really. Maybe I didn't articulate that as well, because again, you have to remember, I'm doing all of this off the cuff in the moment. The reactions, even this part, there's no script, nothing to go with this. I didn't even know this is necessarily what I would be saying going into the video. Like, this is all just how I feel beforehand. And there's just, I think it's easier to put a foot wrong with this kind of music, and for that, like, you have to still give them credit for doing that type of music and pulling it off as well as they do at times. But I don't think it's fair to then ignore when it doesn't work, because I think there are criticisms there, and I think some comments were asking what I meant necessarily by criticisms, and it's generic. Like, the criticisms from, like, the biggest critiques of the bad stuff is genericness, where you have a cheesy guitar solo that's reminiscent of every guitar solo that comes after the second chorus of nearly every song that came out in the late 60s through the 70s. It's like done a million times before. And in terms of maybe the guitar work, how you go through the scales, I mean, the sound that guitar has that he uses is brilliant, because it's just a Led Zeppelin sound, and it's a sound that will never get boring. But in terms of what you do within that sound, it can very easily run into the been done before type of thing. And before we go into the reaction, I would lastly like to talk about some of the other criticisms that were sort of levied at me, and I won't go too deep into this, because when it comes to guitarists and guitar work and criticizing guitar work compared to other guitarists, you can very easily go down a rabbit hole, a bad rabbit hole of just where no one is happy with what you've said, and everyone's gonna always argue, and at the end of the day it will come down to just personal opinion. But I've had comments saying that the guitarist, forgive me, I don't remember his name at the moment, oh, he's brilliant, he's so good, and like he's the best part of the band other than the voice, maybe. And if anything, in my opinion, I would think he's the weakest link. But like, that, I have not heard one comment talking about that drummer. And the drumming in that second album was fucking class. Really good drumming. The drumming stood out. The drumming really stood out. And I think it's just because it's so easy to pick up on guitar work, because again, the guitar becomes the main focal point where they come in with the and they go into a fucking guitar solo after the second chorus, essentially all the time. And don't get me wrong, it can work and it can work well, but a lot of the times it can come across as generic. And then even if the idea that you have is good, sometimes the technical playing may not be up to the level. I mean, go listen to people like Guthrie Govan and all that, and you'll hear a real technical difference, you can like the sound of the guitar, but to say that he's the best part, I mean, don't get me wrong, they all work in tandem. So it's not like one musician carries it, but you have a singer that is almost, in terms of how he can perform, maybe the voice is a little more on the annoying side compared to Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin, but it's better in range almost than Robert Plant's, which is a very controversial statement, but I think it is. The drummers, some of the stuff that the drummer was doing was just absolutely fantastic, and really seems to, just from what I've read in comments, gone a little under recognized and appreciated, which I feel like it happens a lot with drummers and bassists and all. The voice is the standout, the guitar is what does the solo. A lot of people listen to music casually, at least pass over that stuff. So I don't, there's no, I'm not saying that you're wrong for liking the guitar. I just feel like really appreciating the other members of the band is important. And the bassist, I mean, I'll never forget this quote that I heard, and I think it was from an interview with the Led Zeppelin bassist, and it was something along the lines of that the person who plays the bass essentially is the bassist and every other instrumentist. And it's very true. Like, he seems to be the guy that whenever they want another sound in the album, that he's the one playing that instrument. If it's not an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar or drums, he's doing that instrument. And I think some of the work that he's done, especially because I have heard a bit of the Candlelight sessions before, and I've seen some of us playing on it, and it's really, really good. The reason why I bring this up, just to conclude on this before we go into the reaction, is that I'm really against this sort of blind praise for the guitarist. And sort of, there the most sort of viciousness that came from the comments, while there was very little overall, which I'm very appreciative of, but the viciousness came from what seemed like blind just praise for the guitarist. And he's good, but I don't think he's phenomenal, and it's okay that I don't think he's phenomenal. And I think the band in other areas is phenomenal, and like some of the solos are generic solos. Go back to the first album and listen to that. Some solos are generic as hell, and if you like generic, it's fine. If you like generic rock, go all for it. But it's the same way as like my favorite band is Muse. Yet Muse do a sound that have just been doing their sound for like 15 years, and I'm completely aware that. Of course, I think there's technical elements that they do brilliantly around that sound, but ultimately, it's like their sound. You know how they're going to descend in a scale. It's been done over and over again. If you're any Muse fans here, you've got Citizen Erased, you've got Resistance, and then there's a couple others as well off the bat that I can't feel, but they all do the same sort of descend in terms of a scale. Like, they're very just you can tell where their influences are from, and they just run with that. And anything Matt Bellamy does or Muse does, you can just tell that's Muse because of the way they're doing things, and that's fine. I can admit that that's a genericness of their sound. And Greta Van Fleet tread in a territory of the utmost genericness. So at times when it doesn't work, it'll come across as very generic, but it's not an overall criticism of the band. I still think that they're very good, as I said, and I still think they're improving. Now, I'm just looking at the time. I've been ranting for 12 minutes, and I have to do a 6-minute reaction video. You're going to have skipped through after this video, aren't you? Because I'm not editing any of this out. I don't want to do much editing for reaction videos. I'd be here all day otherwise. But my God, this, with the trailer and everything you'd have seen, we're already probably close to 15 minutes in, if I had to guess, and we're not even into the reaction. So this is close to half an hour vid. The next reactions will be way shorter, I promise you. This is the first one I'm recording after being away from Greta Van Fleet for a while. So without further ado, let's get this up here. Greta Van Fleet Candlelight Sessions Broken Bells live. Let's take it away. The weird, very 70s, the camera effect as well. They're adding a lot of is it lens flare to the lights? But I don't know if it's the effect of... That has to be software done, the camera, hasn't it? I think it has.
I can see the faces through the broken glass, no longer past. Looking at the sky, I see the city light.
I'm jealous of his hair, the bastard. My hair is thinning. I want big, thick, curly hair. That's my reaction. That's everything I'll say about this video.
I never wanna fall asleep.
This song's brilliant, by the way. One of the best of the album. Brilliant song. The addition of string section, or of the string section, was a very good idea. Right, I'm going to throw a pause there real quick. I'll probably only do one more pause. I've ranted enough. We want to try and keep this video not too long. Yeah, it's a very, as I said, it's a very good song. It's a very good performance. And kind of one thing I want to mention off the bat here before people go on to me, because I have mentioned in the past that they have had poor performances. Remember that this is a performance that was recorded during lockdown, and while it is live, there could have been takes. It's the same as when Nothing But Thieves done the song Impossible, and it was like live from Abbey Road, and it was live, but they could have done different takes. You know, it's set up to be good. So before people say, look, oh look, this is what they can do live, it's like, I'm aware that this is how they can sound live, but this is a studio live, not a live gig, and I think there's a big difference in that. But still, live, it kind of shows what they're capable of, and they're a very eccentric band in the way that they're dressing and all. But again, I think it's to all fit in with the thematics of the album and all, which I fuck with. I think I you know, it's not really, I suppose, something that I care too much about, because I'm more of spectacle, really, myself, as cheesy as it sounds. And this is just kind of basic. It's almost religious-y looking, so it's not my cup of tea, but I like it. I still kind of like it, stepping back from maybe that basis of, well, I just don't think the religion stuff is that interesting. It's still cool. It's very cool, and again, it just shows me that they really had all this album worked out thematically. How many times do I say thematically at this point in the video? I don't know. Someone can do a count for me.
Sweeping off the pavement with a barley brew, going nowhere soon. Beneath the cracks of sidewalk, there's a flower grown beyond the stone. I never wanna fall asleep with them dreams that wait we so weary. Though I believe the sun still shines, and I believe there comes a time when silently we'll say, when even broken bells will ring.
Very good sustaining of high notes as well, like, just regardless of even the sound of the voice, just the note that's being held, and like, it's a nice note, you know, hard to hold, whether you're doing that type of grit or not. It's almost like it's borderline falsetto level, where you just like low falsetto. Right, sorry, I'm going to do my last pause there, and I'm not going to pause for long. It's just, I know where this goes, I know where the song goes, and it'll be a sin to pause through. Yeah, as I was just saying there, actually, what was I saying? I've kind of forgot. Yeah, that shows how clever I am. But no, I'm really liking it, and it's a good live performance. These are the type of live performances that would actually just be great to listen to instead of the studio version. Like if you're sitting on your own, there's sort of just this bridges a nice middle ground into getting the studio level recording of the audio, but not maybe having the mixing of a live setting, so to speak, in terms of the audience and all that. Like you get to hear the performance very clearly, and it's good. Like it's, you know, again, I always sound very critical of this band, and you know, a lot of people will probably think I'm very critical of them, but I like them. I like them. You know, this isn't. I just, again, I'm quite a critical person. You know, it's who I am, and just like my favorite things in the world are some of the things I critique the most. It's like, again, my favorite TV show ever in the world is Lost, and believe me, I have critiqued that a number of times. And favorite band is Muse. As I said, there's been a lot of critiques in them, and their last album was pretty shit. You know, like I'm not a blind because I like them. Everything they do is amazing without flaws type of guy. At least I hope that comes across. At least I hope people just pick me up in the right way on this, because you know, I'm on your team, so to speak. That'd be the way to describe it. Alright, let's get this played through, and I'll give you my final thoughts, and we'll maybe get this video finished before nighttime or daytime, wherever it is you are. Very nice piano playing. Very nice. I have a little bit of the issues with how he's playing it, but like only minuscule. It's still it's a great solo. It's a great solo and a good place in the song. It's not too take the piss either, which a lot of solos can be. Okay, that's it, I presume. Yeah, it's just all lights. Okay, Greta Van Fleet, Candlelight Sessions, Broken Bells. This is what I will say is very, very good. I really, really liked it. Just to kind of, in case the audio was too loud and you didn't hear me, what I was saying about the guitars, that a little bit of, like, some of the notes that he played, again, like, just, it's part of my criticisms of him. I just, some of the notes I just didn't particularly like, but in terms of the solo, it was a brilliant solo. It swelled brilliantly. Like, this song really does swell brilliantly, and I'm a sucker for songs that swell. And yeah, I just thought it was really good. I think I've already said most things I kind of wanted to say on this song and in general, so I won't make this outro too long. I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Remember to leave a like, make sure to subscribe. We are pushing for partner, and every subscription really counts here. And the support has been brilliant. And if you watch the other reactions to Greta Van Fleet, thank you for coming back to check out this one. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.